Hello and welcome to the program Inspire Children. Thank you for joining us, and thank you so much for all the reviews and the comments that you're sending through to the program for us to bring that information that is relevant to the protection, the development, and the safeguarding of children. Do you know that the issues of drugs and substance abuse is no longer a topic that happens to the other family? It's something that is creeping into our schools, into our communities, unawares. Today we have a conversation on how we can increase our prevention. It's not a conversation to bring fear. It's a conversation to bring awareness. It's a conversation to bring more information so that we are empowered as families and communities to prevent child drug and substance abuse at an early age. And to help me to do that today in the studio, we have a special guest, an experienced teacher. Yeah, we have spent many years building and shaping young people. Not only that, he is an author. And today we want to welcome to the program Mr. Tamaniwa. Welcome to the program, sir.
Thank you so much for having me.
It's good to have you here.
Thank you so much.
And I talked about you being a teacher, and every time whenever I come across senior educators, I always say to them, thank you so much for the years of dedication. And sometimes we don't realize the impact that teachers do put into the lives of children. And today you are going to help us to tackle a very critical element, the worry in our community today of drugs and substance abuse. I'm glad that you are here and you're going to help us to unpack this critical element, especially or more so speaking in terms of how we can really strengthen prevention of drugs and substance abuse at an early age in the lives of children and especially teenagers. So to kickstart our conversation, Mr. Tamaniwa, maybe you can just give us an overview, just a general overview of the things that you have observed over the years, the changes that you have seen because of the dilemma of drugs and substance abuse.
Thank you so much for affording me these opportunities, I've said earlier on.
You're welcome.
Yes, it's true, I've had a long teaching career. In fact, all my working life has been in the education sector, although I would now want to delve into a slightly different sector that incorporates education as a critical element.
Yeah.
Well, over the years, we deal with secondary school children, and these are the frontline personnel. These are the frontline targets. You know, when children are growing up, when they're in the adolescent years, it's a transition period.
Very
so
important.
most of them are also affected by peer pressure. And what worries me most is that things seem to be worsening. That's why the state president went on to declare war on drugs, war against drugs. Just yesterday, there was a report in the local newspaper that more than 100 street children in Bulawayo are causing havoc there. Yes, they are marauding, they are wild, they are weird. They also engage in illegal activities such as...
These are young children.
Yes, drug and substance abuse, and there are more than 100 of these that were reported. Yes, even in schools, we frequently get reports of school children that are indulging in what they call vaping, taking shisha and all that stuff.
So much.
And with the exodus of some of our parents who are going abroad, that means the situation is really getting out of hand. So we are worried as educators, we are worried as citizens. Whoever is living in this world today and who is in touch with what's happening should be worried.
Yeah, and it really needs everyone to come in and to help deal with the situation. Thank you for giving us that overview. So, Mr. Tamaniwa, the first question that I have as we talk about this critical element, it's just general. What do we really mean when you're talking about drug and substance abuse, especially when it comes to children and teenagers?
Thank you for that. Well, yes, that's where we should kickstart the whole talk. Abuse of drugs actually entails three aspects. The first one is use of illicit substances, use of illicit material, taking stuff into one's body, stuff that is illegal in that particular country. For instance, in most of the world, whether developed or developing, cannabis or marijuana is illegal, except in exceptional circumstances. So when one takes marijuana in general, it's illegal. That's abuse of substances. The second one has to do with overconsumption. Whoever may be taking any stuff, be it alcohol, be it cannabis, be it Bronclear or whatever, when you talk of abuse of substances, we're talking of overconsumption.
Yeah, overconsumption.
Yes, we've had cases of people that, let me take alcohol as an example, people who drink all night.
Hey.
You know, that's overconsumption.
Yeah.
It's beyond what is the so-called, what's normally called moderate drinking. In fact, there's nothing like moderate drinking, as we will show later on. So it entails also, overconsumption.
Yeah.
And also, when you talk of abuse of drugs, we are looking at also use of a substance for other purposes beyond what it was originally meant for.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. Bronclear is meant for treating certain illnesses.
Yeah.
But people then abuse it by, taking it into their bodies, by drinking it beyond the limits for other purposes, simply to get high. So that would constitute substance abuse. Yes.
Yay. So understanding the problem clearly, it is indeed the first step to preventing it, where we really understand what is drugs and what is substance abuse. So when it entails, children, how are children getting, hooked onto these things earlier on, like you mentioned?
Okay. Yes, children are they're a special category. In that they are not, good at decision making.
Yes.
So they are vulnerable. And when you talk of adolescents, for example, these are the people that are vulnerable to peer pressure. They are easily manipulated and influenced by their peers,
Yes.
So the pressure is so much on them, and because they're not good at making decisions, it quickly affects them so much. Medically, it has been proven that one's mind gets fully developed at age 25.
Yeah, that's research.
And the last part of the brain to fully develop is the one that deals with rationale, that has to do with reasoning. That's the last part to develop. So I think as I speak right now, one is instances of people that are below 25. They are the players, if I would say.
So many mistakes happening with decisions.
They are venturing, they want to experiment, they want to do this and that, partly because their brains are still developing. But beyond 25 years of age, things seem to, go a little bit down.
Stabilize a bit.
Yes, something like that.
Wow. I think that is a very critical takeaway for our families and viewers today, to say that at 25, that's when the mind is completely developed.
Yes.
And it's now talking to every player around the lives of children and young people, needs to take an active role. Thank you so much for bringing that, Mr. Tamanio. So I just want to know, why is preventing substance abuse early more effective than trying to fix it later?
But let me start off by saying, generally, it costs more for any country to rehabilitate drug addicts. It has been reported, and through research it has been discovered, that Africa alone, it gobbles beyond 50 billion, in fact, from abuse of drugs. Africa alone, annually.
50 billion
goes
into drugs and
goes into managing abuse of drugs through law enforcement, for example, through health care, and other expenses that have to be that are entailed in trying to address that. Secondly, by comparison, when people do early prevention, it only costs between $100 and $1,000 per individual. Right? And yet, when you rehabilitate someone who has already been, buried into abuse of drugs, it costs between $5,000 to $50,000 US dollars per individual.
You need to repeat that, Mr. Tamanio. I think viewers, you need to hear this. If you were busy cooking, please just pay attention to this serious and very critical element. That statistic. You know.
Right. To rehabilitate an individual, on average, yes, it costs between $5,000 to $50,000 per individual to rehabilitate someone. Of course, the figure will vary depending on the duration that one has spent in an institution, in a rehabilitation center, and whatever. But and yet, if someone undergoes, early prevention programs, through outreach, through education and awareness, to prevent the menace from, engulfing someone, it only costs between $100 and $1,000 per individual.
Wow, very important statistics. We'll get back to these statistics soon after the break. Viewers, don't go away. The information that is coming to your home today is very critical. See you after the break. Welcome back, viewers, to the program Inspire Children. Today we are talking about preventing issues of drugs and substance abuse, especially in children and teenagers. Mr. Tamanigwa, thank you so much. You brought it in critical statistics about how important it is to prevent more than to respond, because response is very expensive. It got me to worry now to say, if just think outside the box, how many people like in our community this side of Africa will be able to manage the rehabilitation of close to those amounts. It becomes a point of worry. So you were talking before we went on break, you're talking more about prevention. I know there are more issues that you'd really want to cover on that.
Okay.
Yeah. What else needs to be done?
Okay, if I can also highlight, early prevention is more cost effective than trying to rehabilitate someone much later, because early prevention also has got its own benefits for society. For example, it has been discovered that abuse of drugs all over the world is linked to violence,
exactly,
child abuse, and all other social ills because of abuse of drugs. Someone will be intoxicated; they are not really in their right mind. So they are predisposed to committing those crimes. And also, when you do early prevention, when children are still developing, are still growing, and you prevent through awareness, through education and whatever, and through having close talks between parents, faith leaders, and their children or their youth, we realize that it promotes cohesion in society. When people are really talking to their child, when a pastor is talking to their youth at church, there's a social bond that is cemented in that process. And if within a family setup, we also discover that parents become very close to their children and vice versa. And that is good for academic performance because the child is someone to confide in at home, not outside, at home. But that seems to be lacking in today's society. Yes.
And there's so much that needs to be done.
Yes, there's so much that's
Wow. Indeed, I believe from what you're saying, it is easier to build strong children than to repair adults. There's so much effort that needs to go into it. We need more detail on how parents now, families, how can they help their children reduce this risk of getting into substance and drug abuse?
Okay. Yes, every nation now has to look at that. Every family and every concerned individual has to look at that. I think there are a number of issues. Some of them will involve the government in any territory. Let me start by highlighting the issue of what they call positive alternatives. Promoting activities that children can engage in during their spare time, which occupy them. They say an idle mind is the devil's workshop. Right. So we seem to lack adequate such facilities, especially in high density suburbs. Traditionally, here and there you find maybe a football pitch here and there, but how much of it is reserved for maybe cricket, basketball, and other sporting ventures that the children do at school? So government and local authorities seemingly, they need to go more and afford more resources, set aside more resources, towards what they call positive alternatives. Then for their own part, parents also have to, first of all, begin by, educating themselves. We have a section of society which doesn't regard alcohol as a drug because it's socially available and it's almost ubiquitous, to the extent that some people don't take alcohol as a drug, So people have to arm themselves with adequate, accurate information by actually learning about what are drugs? What do they do? What does alcohol do to one's body?
Yeah.
You know, what do cigarettes do to one's body?
It's
So that when you then talk to your child, you know, you are better informed, and you are in a better position to really tell them what is medically proven, and you create a greater impact in that way. So parents and citizens in general, I think we have to capacitate ourselves.
We have to up the game.
Yes, up the game by learning this area, because for instance, it was reported about 253,000 people die annually from abuse of drugs annually throughout the world. That's a significant figure for anyone to consider. Yeah. And it has been reported also that drug and substance abuse alone has killed so far more people than the 2 world wars that we have had in the world.
Yes.
All right. I think whoever is done the First World War, the Second World War, whatever, the figures were alarming. Yeah. But drug abuse has killed far beyond more people. Anyway, back to the issue. As parents as well, we also have to be there for our children.
Yes.
Let me take that one up. Being there for our children is not just being there physically.
Oh, yes.
Like what other families are doing. Parents today are so busy.
Too busy.
Yes, too busy to try and provide for their families. There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
But we then seem to lack, we belittle this thing. We don't set aside adequate time to talk to our teenage children. You know, have an open discussion with them. What is happening at school? Let them share their stories of what they've witnessed at school, and in general, within the community. What are their thoughts about abuse of drugs? What are drugs? Locally, do they know of any people who are into this thing? Yes. What are their perspectives about that? Why is that wrong? And then take that opportunity to educate that child of yours or that neighbor's child who is available. Yeah. Tell them about what alcohol does, what material does to one's body once it's taken within the body. And that would be good for society. Yeah. So we have to arm ourselves, read around the material, have the technical information at our fingertips so that we can be of better use to our school children in school and wherever we may be, we may be moving around. And then, of course, I think society also has to up the game by showing as much concern as possible.
Oh, yes.
Yes, give value to this subject as much as possible. We must reach a point whereby everyone who abuses drugs in a public space has to be ridiculed, has to be acted upon.
Everyone involved.
Yes, I like the Japanese experience that I mentioned in my book.
Yes.
Japan went on to reduce cases of abuse of drugs significantly. In fact, it was almost a miracle. Wow. Whenever you talk of abuse of drugs and drastic reduction in abuse of drugs, you can't run away from the Japanese experience. Yes, I think we can emulate one or two things from Japan.
So talk more about the Japanese. What did they really do?
So what the Japanese did, just to highlight a few points, one of them was that the problem is it had gone out of hand in Japan to such an extent that at one point some celebrity was killed, murdered for no reason by someone who was high on drugs. Hey. It caught the attention of the Japanese society. It was highlighted. The media did its part, highlighted the issue, and there was public outcry for that single event that took place. Yeah. So it stimulated the Japanese society to act upon that. It was condemned by everyone, and then later on the Japanese went on to have some people within Japan, citizens, ordinary citizens, who were qualified to do counseling, to offer psychological assistance. They volunteered their services for free to whoever needed counseling, whoever needed psychological assistance. They volunteered to give that to the people that were affected. Wow. And the Japanese experience, the Japanese government went on to continue to hammer against the abuse of drugs to the extent that the figures went significantly low. Wow. And that became very noteworthy within the country. Yes.
Indeed. It requires everyone inside there aggressive to deal with the problem. Thank you so much, Mr. Tamaniwa, for that. We'll take a short break and we'll come back to this conversation. Viewers, don't go away. See you after the break. Hello, viewers. Welcome to the program. We are having a very critical conversation, prevention of drugs and substance abuse. How does childhood trauma push children toward unhealthy coping behaviors, including substance abuse?
So traumatic experiences, for anyone, they make one mentally unstable.
Yeah, true.
You become depressed. Why? Because you witnessed someone being beheaded. And maybe that's the only time you've experienced
You've
that.
seen it, yes.
So these pictures remain in one's mind.
Yes.
It can lead also to hallucinations. It can also lead to anxiety. It can lead to one being withdrawn because the picture remains so vivid in one's mind.
Yes.
There's also the issue of sexual abuse, where rape is on the rise, as you know, locally in Zimbabwe and in many other societies in Africa, is on the rise. Now, the overall effect of being exposed to traumatic experiences is that the anxiety, the depression, and the unstable mental condition that one undergoes, they then impact on a teenager, specifically on adolescents, in that they would try to run away from these thoughts, these experiences of being depressed because of the traumatic experience that they've had by, looking for friends around who may not be the proper people to associate with. The people that they then associate with may be deep into drugs, but in an effort to just belong,
to belong to someone.
To belong to someone, they then are introduced to substances. They are persuaded to try out, and even if they stand their ground at first, peer pressure is so.
Let's just try. It's not harmful.
Yes, it's not harmful. If someone stands their ground in front of peers, they laugh at you, and when they laugh at you, for adolescents, it's belittling to them. So as a result, they end up indulging. Why? Because they don't want to continue being depressed, continue being subjected to anxiety. So as a result, in the end, they end up getting into substance abuse and drug abuse without knowing the far-reaching effects of all that. Yes,
it's and these things are very serious and they're happening around our communities. Thank you so much for that, Mr. Tamaniwa. So, just the last question, I know we've run out of time. What are some of the early signs adults should watch out for? Maybe you can just give us 2 or 3 of those, and how can they act quickly to protect their children? Just the red flags that they need to see in their younger children, the teenagers, the preteens, the adolescents.
Okay, the telltale signs, I think there were 3 or 4. Number 1, late home coming. If someone used to be home by sunset, they suddenly extend by an hour, 2, 3, or 4. Right? And when that happens, any parent should be concerned. Why is my child now coming home at 10 p.m.? And yet they used to be around by 7, at the latest. Number 2, neglecting priorities. Priorities can be work at home. Priorities may be work at university, at college, and whatever. When someone is into drug abuse, they don't value those things at all. That there's an assignment that is due to be submitted, or I haven't done my project, is now due, and whatever. They ignore all that. And then, of course, the third one is that they become withdrawn. I have a friend of mine whose son suddenly became withdrawn whenever it was supper time. Instead of enjoying their meal with the rest of the family, he suddenly withdrew to his bedroom. The father then became suspicious, and later on he went on to discover that he was deep into drugs, and he then acted quickly, but it was almost late. Yes.
Wow. Hey, thank you so much for that, Mr. Tamaniwa. I believe this conversation was deep, and our viewers look forward to you coming back to share more information with the nation. Indeed, prevention starts with awareness, it starts with education, and it continues with connection. Thank you so much for bringing these deep highlights. Dear viewers, thank you for joining us on Inspire Children. I believe this is a homework for all of us. Like I mentioned at the beginning, that drugs and substance abuse is not for the other family. It can happen to anyone. It can happen to any family, and we have to be intentional. Mr. Tamaniwa today shared with us deep insights, some of the red flags that you need to look into. There are things that we would ignore in the past, but in this kind of era, it's important to pay attention and to act quickly. Prevention is better than cure. See you again next time. Goodbye.